Numbers today very encouraging. It really means better than expected. Looks like the growth this year would be 3.3% or higher. That's a far cry from the 2% predictions before tax reform. So we know that law is working. I think the best is yet to come because so many decisions are being made to locate new facilities, new research, new manufacturing, new headquarters here in the United States. That takes a while to manifest itself in the economy. So I think there'll be even stronger growth over the long term because of the new tax law. So what President Trump is looking at is a 10% cut focused on middle-class workers and families for this reason. He still believes middle-class families are the ones always in the squeeze. They make too much to get government help, as many do. They don't make enough to be able to grow the way they want. He just believes we ought to continue to do more for the middle class. And what a contrast from the new report we saw this week that repealing the tax cuts could cost $27,000 in higher taxes and lost pay to a middle-class family versus a president who wants to, like President Reagan, have a series of cuts focused on growth and focused on the middle class.
Austan, that made sense to me about, I mean, in terms of corporate spending, it doesn't happen immediately. And that would be another, you say you want to be positive and be hopeful.
Look,
that would be.
I hope that's true. I wish they had paid for the tax cut when they passed it, but I hope that the chairman's correct. I guess my still lingering question is that you remember when the administration passed this tax cut, they predicted it would raise wages for average workers by $4,000. And I'm still hashtag, where's my $4,000?
Well, that could be.
We have not seen that.
It's all about him. It's all about Austan. He hasn't gotten his 4,000. I might write you.
Neither has anyone else.
Okay.
Yeah, well, and look, Austan has look, I appreciate his leadership. Didn't always agree with it, but I know it was there for the right reasons. As you know, those wage increases don't snap your fingers and happen overnight. It is because under the new tax laws, businesses are investing more. That's going to drive productivity. That's where the wage growth, that's the core, sort of strengthening the core of our economy that this new tax law is designed to do. It does take some time to see that occur, but we're on the right trajectory to see that happen.
Austan?
If we do another tax reform, 3.0, 9.0, whatever Joe thinks it is, do you think there would be a different approach in Congress to maybe paying for it, or do you think it would be, again, tax cut without any pay for us?
So there could be. So this was, as you know, the $1.5 trillion was a pretty modest investment over a decade for a much smarter tax code that drives growth in a much better way long term for us. As we look at future tax relief and tax cuts, you know, I'm sure we will have that debate about are there areas of the government, frankly, that aren't as important? Are there, you know, improper payments? Are there tax credits going to people who don't exist? Payments to phantom doctors? Are there some areas that, frankly, could cover that? We'll have that debate, but right now we are working closely with the president and have for several months on the design of a 10% middle-class tax cut, really focused on them. And so as Republicans retain the House and the Senate, that's our goal and that's what we're working for. When that happens, you'll see us move and advance that.
Kevin, I mean, just going back to that, for several months you've been working on a 10% tax cut plan for the middle class? Because the news reporting around this, clear this up for us.
Yeah, I know.
Has been that this was like a spur-of-the-moment thing.
Yeah, it was, and I wish the media would call once in a while to ask about these things. So, yes, the president has been having these discussions. He's really focused on the middle class. We've been working with the White House and with Treasury on some ideas about how best to do it, and there's some very good ones. And so we expect to advance this in the new session of Congress if Republicans maintain control of the House and Senate.
We'll see. I don't know. Trying to figure out what the odds of that are. You don't look at 538, I guess. Do we care about any of these probabilities we see, Mr. Chairman?
So there's no question. Republicans have an uphill battle to hold the House. There's no question about that. But traveling the country in these races, looking what's going on in these races, and now I think the momentum on the Republican side, I think there is a good chance that we can maintain the House. It's no guarantee, no doubt. Early voting started in many states, including ours. I'm really encouraged by what we're seeing.
The markets, and whenever I ask you about anything other than what you're always focused on, I know it's not where you always want to go, but the markets have at least corrected a little bit from the ebullience that we have seen with a lot of the initiatives of the Republicans and the Trump administration. What do you ascribe it to? Maybe it is a front-end loaded sugar high from the tax cut, or I don't know, maybe the Fed is raising too quickly. Are you concerned about what we're seeing before an election in the financial markets, Mr. Chairman?
So, look, I think the sugar high came from the stimulus, more government spending, quantitative easing. This is really on the supply side, more investment, more productivity, more locating of businesses, investment, research back in the United States. So I think this is the right approach. The other thing, I think every challenge we're facing right now is because of growth. The Fed is normalizing its rates as they should because our economy is stronger. We have a big problem finding the workers we need all across the country because of the new growth and the opportunities we're seeing. I would rather have an economy facing challenges because of growth than one facing challenges because of contraction or anti-growth policies.
Again,
and so I think we do have, every economy has some challenges, but for the right reasons.
But you think the Fed is raising rates at the right pace and would like to see them continue to do that?
I think it's important the Fed normalizes the rates over time. I don't want them to prematurely hit the brakes on this economic growth, but over time it is important for us to have inflation in check, a sound dollar going forward. The Fed's been trying to do too much for too long, and it really is time, I think, gradually over time to move back to those normal rates. And in our economy, by the way, we are seeing some of the impacts of those raises right now in housing and other sectors, but I think over time we're stronger.